Welcome back to Socks and Sandals, and welcome to another pickups update video. So, at the time of making this, I've only got 2 pages left in my notebook, this one and the final page of pickups. And a majority of these are going to be pickups I purchased at Classic Games Fest and when I went on my trip to Colorado to see the Foo Fighters. So, a lot of these have been featured in other videos. But for people who haven't seen those, this will be a nice little refresher, I guess. But, or update. I guess that's the whole point of this. We're going to start off with PS3. The only PS3 game I got is a Japanese exclusive. It is the Biohazard Chronicles HD selection. I know the Chronicles games were like Wii exclusive games. Well, I guess not exclusive, but they came out on the Wii first, I believe, and they were on rails light gun shooters. The only one I can read is the only title that's in English, and it's Biohazard The Dark Side Chronicles. I believe the other one was Umbrella. That is exactly what this is. I got it now. It popped into my head. You're probably not gonna be able to see it, but in katakana there, it says Umbrella Chronicles. It actually says Anu Ano Brera Kuro ni Kuru. So, there you go. Yeah, on the PS3, I believe these were digitally released in the United States, but the Japanese market is the only one that got a physical release of it. And unfortunately, I bought this off of Lashin Bang. I don't really want to open it because it absolutely reeks of cigarette smoke. So, whatever Japanese person that owned this before smoked heavily. So that sucks. I know cigarette smoke can also actually damage discs, so I hope that has no effect. But yeah, the actual manual is just awful with it. It's also got a reverse cover, but I prefer the cover that is already facing outward, so I'm not going to swap that. I never played the Chronicles games on the Wii, and I never played the digital version, so I thought that would be kind of fun I've got it in the PlayStation wheel, so maybe it gets spun. According to research, so PlayStation games, they're region free because they're Blu-ray, but you're not required to have the Move controllers. I have Move controllers and the camera. When I looked it up, it says that you could play this with the controller, just a PS3 controller, so I'll give that a shot whenever, or if it ever gets spun in the wheel. But I just thought that was kind of neat. So the only PS4 game I got, this was featured in the Classic Games Fest video. This is Mega Dimension Neptunia 7. There's another version of this that released for the PSVR, where it's Mega Dimension Neptunia V2R, or 7R for you Romans. But I like the Neptunia games, the Senran Kagura games, these ecchi, just mindless ecchi games. That's just what I'm into. They're part visual novels, but this one this one's a turn-based RPG. The only Neptunia game that I've played to completion is Four Goddesses Online. That's actually only one of 10 games that I have all of the trophies for, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I like the Neptunia games. I got this he had it listed for $30, and that's just way out of my price range, so I asked him if he'd take $20. It was the final day of the convention, and he said yes, so I got that for $20. So that was kind of cool. Alright, next up is original Xbox, and this first game I got in El Paso while I was there for work, and it's Volvo Drive for Life. So I found this at a game shop in El Paso. It wasn't the greatest shop. It's one of those shops where there's just crap everywhere. The games were sorted by platform, but they weren't in alphabetical order, and there was just a mess of stuff behind the counter. I really wasn't finding anything that I actually wanted, but I saw Drive. I was like, oh, that's a racing game that I've never heard of. And then I like pulled it off the shelf and noticed the Volvo thing on it. And what also intrigued me is that it doesn't have a barcode. Because El Paso is so close to Mexico, I thought this was just like a Mexican bootleg or something. But it turns out is that this game was in Volvo dealerships as like a showcase for their cars. Like they would have an original Xbox setup and you could play this game, I guess test drive Volvos or something. So it was never for sale to the general public. So I thought that was kind of cool. It's not worth anything. I just thought it was neat. I don't know if it could really be classified as a racing game because you're just driving Volvos. I don't know if you actually race Volvos or not. I paid $10.99 for it. And the other game I have for original Xbox was also bought at Classic Games Fest. This is Project Gotham Racing 2 with the Xbox Live Arcade. I believe I only paid $5 for this at the convention. When I originally bought it, it had the manual for Project Gotham Racing in it, just the first game. I already had this when I bought it, but my copy was badly water damaged, and I bought this one because it was only $5, and it comes with like the Xbox Live Arcade like demo disc thing. So I thought that was a better deal than having a water damaged copy. So yep. I liked Project Gotham Racing 4. That's the only one I've played a lot of. I have tested the first Project Gotham Racing. Played it for about maybe an hour, and it's fine. It's a decent racing game. It controls like you would want a racing game to control, and that's like 75% of what makes a racing game fun is if it actually controls well. So I'm sure Project Gotham Racing 2 is more of the same, but one of these days I'll get around to actually giving it a more in-depth play. Next, I will do my Xbox One / Series X pickups, and the first game here I bought at a game store in Colorado. I believe it was called... I'm sorry. I already had this, but I found the steelbook for it on PS4 while I was there, and I really like the steelbook. This is Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. I really like this steelbook. I think this is a fantastic steelbook, but I already had the game on Xbox One. So I bought the steelbook and then just used the PS4 copy that was in this to trade into Game Exchange just as trade fodder. But yeah, this is like a really awesome steelbook. I love the artwork on it. I love the color. I love just how it looks like it's an old school item. It's got like manufactured wear on it, and yeah, I just like it. So I grabbed it. Next up, another game I bought in Colorado. I actually got this at GameStop. I got this the same time as the next game coming up. It's Tales of Iron. So I heard about this from Metal Jesus Rocks. It's a 2D, like, if you've ever read the book, was it Redwall? It's an old, like, teen book from when I was in school about, it's like medieval times, but it's a rodent is the lead character in it. So it's kind of like the book Redwall, but I don't think it's a turn-based RPG. I think it's like Dark Souls, kind of like that game Blasphemous, where it's a 2D style, or not Blasphemous, Salt and Sanctuary, where it's a 2D art style, but it has like the Dark Souls battle mechanics and stuff. Actually, it is an RPG. Tales of Iron is an epic RPG adventure with punishingly brutal combat, so maybe it is also, just from like the way these images on the back look and from the gameplay Metal Jesus Rock showed in his video. I guess a better comparison, like a more recent comparison, would be Hollow Knight. It's a lot like Hollow Knight, but you play as a rat. and I like the art style of it. I like that all of the creatures, or all of the, they're not people, but all of the characters, that's a word. All of the characters in the game are animals, and you're a rat fighting like giant frogs and bugs and stuff. So I just thought it was interestingly creative. So I suppose I'll give what I paid for it. I traded in a bunch of games. I ended up getting $21.71 in trade credit. I bought this one for $10.68. And the next game I got, oh, it was $54.99 is what I paid for the next game coming up. Again, it'll be in the wheel for the Achievement Hunters Variety Hour, so would like to play that eventually, as well as this next game. This is Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden. I wanted to say Tales of New Eden, but Tales of Iron. So this is made by Don't Nod, the studio that made the original Life is Strange, as well as probably one of my favorite hidden gems on the 360. It's one of my favorite hidden gems, and I can't remember the name of it, which is funny because it's Remember Me. Yeah, I like Don't Nod. I think the one game I like least from them has been, what the hell was it called? It's kind of like Life is Strange, whereas you play as a character that has, or characters that have abilities. I can't remember it, and I'll probably get in trouble, but the lead character is a transitioning female to male. That's not the reason I didn't like it. I thought that the story just sucked and none of the characters were any enjoyable. That's probably my least favorite game from them so far, but I like Don't Nod as a studio. So this is a more of an action RPG, and I haven't played a game from them like Remember Me since Remember Me. So something that is not so story driven. I mean, I'm sure it's got a decent story, but if you've played Life is Strange, you know what I'm trying to get at, in that it's all like a choice-based thing, kind of like David Cage, but not as pretentious. So yeah, I really wanted to give this a shot. It apparently didn't sell well, which I really hope my audio didn't fuck up there, because my computer was doing something. I hope it didn't put them off of making more games like that. They've got another game coming out. It'll probably be out by the time y'all see this video, but Lost Tapes, I think is what it's called. Like Screams and Silence or something like that. They also have another game that this next one I thought it was. So this is Black Mirror, and they have another game called Twin Mirror, which I thought this was when I bought it at Classic Games Fest, but it isn't. This is Black Mirror. Has nothing to do with the TV show. According to the back, blood is not always thicker than water. It looks like, again, like a choice-based game, but it looks like it's got like a horror aesthetic. I heard of this when it was like announced, but nothing past that, and the only reason I got it is because I confused it with Twin Mirror. So I kept it because it could be fun, but yeah. Immerse yourself in a modern reimagining of the acclaimed gothic horror adventure series. Apparently, it's an adventure series. Could have fooled me. Next up is another game I got at Classic Games Fest. It is Fallout 76 on the Xbox One. This is with the Wastelanders expansion pack. The reason I bought this is because, one, it's got this cool slipcover, and two, it was sealed. It was $8. I bought this and Deadpool for the Xbox 360. They wanted $8 for this and $5 for Deadpool on the 360. It was disc only at the time. And I asked him if he would take... It might have been... I could swear this was listed for $8. I might have ended up paying too much for this, because I swear I gave him $15. And if he had this price today, I overpaid. He might have had Deadpool listed at 10, and this was 8, and I asked him if he'd take 15. That sounds about right. And I got them both for 15. So, pretty good deal, especially with how Deadpool shot up. It was at like 20 anyways, like a complete copy, and I got it for 5, so it was already, if you say the case is $5, like half of the value, $5 for the game is a pretty good deal, because otherwise it would be at 10. But yeah, it since shot up. I don't know what it's going to be at by the time y'all see this video, because Deadpool and Wolverine will long since have been out of the theaters, and when people, after panic buying it or buying it because the movie was good, realize that the game isn't as good, I don't know how far the game will fall. And lastly, that isn't Xbox 360, we have PS1. Another game I got at Classic Games Fest. This is Frogger 2. This is a game from my childhood. I adored Frogger 2. Woof. Almost threw the manual across the room. It is one of my favorite childhood memories, is playing this game. There was a time where I was struggling to beat a level, and my dad, who probably hasn't properly played a game since Atari 2600, was like, "I'll help you beat it." And bless his heart, he tried, but, you know, the PS1 controller had more than one thumbstick and a button. He struggled with it just as much, but he tried for so long that I was like, "All right, Dad, it's time to go to bed." And I had to turn the console off on him to get him to leave so I could go to sleep. I never beat it, but it has been added to the PlayStation wheel, and I would like to give it another shot now that I'm an adult and have grown somewhat more accustomed to video games. I'm not going to say I'm amazing at them, but I think I could at least beat Frogger 2. These next two games I got at Classic Games Fest. This is Gran Turismo 2. I already had the simulator disc. That's why, so I already had this disc. I bought it at a yard sale loose for $1. I needed the case and the arcade mode disc. So as you can see, the arcade mode is in black and white, and the simulation disc that I have is colored. It had the black and white disc in this, but since I had already paid for that one and had it fixed, I just opted to take the simulation mode disc that was in this out and put the one in that I had more attachment to. The case is cracked. I believe he had 10 on this, and I bought Disney Universe, which is going to be up later, at the same time, and I believe for Disney Universe he also had 10, and I think I offered 15 for both of those. I give the prices I paid in the Classic Games Fest video, so if you want to go watch that to get a more accurate pricing, you can. This was actually the first thing I picked up at Classic Games Fest, and it's Gran Turismo 1. I believe I paid $2 for this. It was listed as is, and the disc is pretty significantly scratched, but when I put this in the when I put this in the PS3, it read just fine. I'm sure on a PS1, because the hardware is significantly older than a PS3, the eye will struggle to read through all those scratches. So I imagine on a PS1 it wouldn't work too well, but the PS3 read it just fine. I don't know how much longer it will be able to do that, because the PS3 is getting up in age too. At least for now, it reads it. Not a bad deal for $2. It is old school controls where you have to use the D-pad to control, and X is gas. It's not too bad. Since I had a majority of the Gran Turismo, I think the only ones I'm missing now are Gran Turismo 3 and Gran Turismo 4. I may end up picking up all of those, but I haven't really played any of the Gran Turismo games, so... Plus, I have no interest hardly in collecting for PS2, especially now that my PS2 is broke, so I couldn't even play them if I wanted to. Alright, so lastly, we have, of course, Xbox 360. So the first two games from the 360 here I bought at the Red Barn in Waxahachie. So I got Fracture. I believe I paid $5 for this. I might have the receipt. It might be in the next case. But, yeah. It's a 360 game that I hadn't played. I'm at the point now where if it looks at least something I could enjoy, with this being a shooter, I'll give it a shot. It is made by LucasArts, or at least published by LucasArts. Looks like a third-person shooter. I could at least have fun with that. It had multiplayer, so I'm not getting all of the achievements. The main thing is that you can like raise and lower terrain with an ability, and that was its main draw. I know nothing beyond that. There you have it. And then this next one I bought because I like the art style. I've seen videos on it, but it's apparently like a multiplayer centric game. I think it has a single player. Plus it's made by Platinum Games. It's Anarchy Reign. I paid $11.90 for both of these at the Red Barn. The art style is really what intrigues me about this. It's like a third person hack and slash game. You know Platinum Games. They've got really excellent character design, and it's probably going to play like Bayonetta, which I'm not the biggest fan of Bayonetta, but yeah, the art style is just bombastic, and I'll give it a shot. Survival of the fittest, battle to become the ultimate survivor as you choose from 16 characters, each with their own unique style, weapon, and signature kill move. Does have a single player mode. Play as Jack or Leo in the two-part story-driven campaign mode, with each character putting their own unique combat style to the test. Or you could play the multiplayer mayhem. But I doubt that the servers are still up for this, so probably won't ever be doing that. And this next game is a loose game I bought. No, actually, it is loose, but this isn't the game I thought it was. So I bought a lot of loose 360 games off of Mercari. The reason I bought them is Skate 3, which will be coming up, but it came with a copy of Watch Dogs for the Xbox 360 and Saints Row 2, which will also be coming up. This is the game that gained notoriety from its reveal trailer at E3 being manufactured game footage and the released product looking nothing like it. So I'm not really sure where the audio cut out, but Watch Dogs, bought it in a lot on Mercari of other loose games. Isn't the greatest, but people have kind of gone back and looked at it better now that it isn't a full priced game and the other two games have come out. People say Watch Dogs 2 is the best, Watch Dogs 1 is okay, and Watch Dogs Legion is absolute filth. I thought I'd keep it just to have something in the variety hour. It might be fun to at least get 100 gamer score in, so whatever. It came with that lot. When I bought Skate 3, in that lot, it was valued at what I paid for all of these together, so I just thought it was a nice little bonus. Next up, I traded in a bunch of games to Game Exchange, and Plants vs. Zombies is one of the games I bought. I liked Plants vs. Zombies when I played it, or when I originally played it on the Xbox Live Arcade. The receipt here, I bought NHL Stanley Cup, which is... No, it's SNES. It was an SNES game that I bought to test in SNES. Cars Racerama on PS3. I'll talk more about Cars Racerama when we get to it on the 360. Plants vs. Zombies, and an AC adapter for the N64. Yeah, I liked the arcade version from Xbox Live Arcade, so I thought, I think it was $8, so for $8 I'll get a physical copy of Plants vs. Zombies. It also comes with Peggle and Zuma on disc. I love Peggle. Peggle is probably one of my favorite Xbox Live Arcade games. Peggle 2 is also really good. Zuma is okay. Physical copy of Plants vs. Zombies with those other two games on disc ain't bad for $8. Next up, at GameStop, I bought The Saboteur. This game is set during World War II in Nazi-occupied France. You play as a French, I guess spy is what they are, or saboteur. I paid $12.34 for this, so that's neat. So the main draw of this game is that you do play as a French saboteur, and the game starts out in black and white, and as you take over Nazi-occupied areas, and revert them back to just not being occupied by the Nazis, the world gains color. I've heard this is a really fun third-person, like, action game, so I decided to pick it up. Unfortunately, the Midnight Show code doesn't work anymore because the Xbox 360 store has been taken down. So I don't get to look at naked women in a video game anymore. Yeah, again, it'll be in the Variety Hour wheel. I would like to give this a full playthrough, but I've got so many games, it's not even funny. So this next game, I actually bought the case and manual before I got the game itself. It's Driver San Francisco. There was a post on Facebook Marketplace for a bunch of empty cases with their artwork for the 360. I got Driver San Francisco, Condemned 2, Skate. So I bought the artwork first, and then I just got on eBay and I believe paid $30 just for a loose copy of the game. I am noticing that this copy does have top scratches, which people say is where the data is, so it may not work. I haven't tried it yet. This is a racing game. I like racing games. Apparently people say this is a really good racing game. I've also heard that from a coworker, I never looked into it further than that Ubisoft is going to make another Driver. I will not be buying that new because I don't want to give Ubisoft any of my money, but I will gladly buy a pre-owned copy from Game Exchange or GameStop or something, or off of a person from the internet. If that is true, I have no idea if it is. This is the game that I was thinking of earlier that's loose. This is a game that I bought from the same game store as the Steelbook of Wolfenstein 2. It is a loose copy of Universe at War. I just thumbed through, they had like a little box on the counter of loose disc games for the 360. I just thumbed through it, and I'd never heard of Universe at War. I believe it was only like $7. So I thought, why not? And then I looked it up, and it's an RTS. Not the biggest fan of that genre. I tried playing Mutant Year Zero in the last Achievement Hunters Variety Hour, and yeah, not really into RTS games, but who knows, it could be fun. It'll be added to the next Variety Hour. It'll be in the wheel at least. Don't know if it'll get picked. Again, Saints Row 2 was one of the discs I got in that Macari lot with Watch Dogs and Skate 3. I just bought another case for it. Saints Row 2 isn't my favorite game in the Saints Row franchise. That would be Saints Row the Third. This one is where it stopped trying as hard to be a GTA clone and tried to have its own personality. It added more humor and absurdity to it. I've watched people play it, and I've played it a little bit, and it is still a little dated. I don't know if it's as dated as the first Saints Row, but I also had every other Saints Row game, so I needed to add this to my collection to complete that subset. So there you go. Plus I got the disc in that lot. Kind of an easy keep there. And the last game I got from the game store in Colorado is Stuntman Ignition. This is where you play as, like, you're a stuntman on a movie set, and the game asks you to do specific stunts in areas to gain points, like do a power slide or jump over an exploding gas truck or just create havoc. I figure it could be fun. Level 7 Games. I've got the receipt in this game here. Level 7 Games is that game store in Colorado. Really nice store. Had a pretty excellent selection of 360 games I don't see often. A lot of the games I already owned, though, or were out of my price range, so I didn't buy them. But yeah, I ended up spending $26 total there. I had a trade credit. They only bought one game off of me. But yeah, Stuntman Ignition. Again, I'm a fiend for really any driving game or racing game. I'll give it, at least a few minutes. It doesn't take long to figure out if a racing game is bad or not. Like I said, 75% of what makes a racing game fun is if it controls well. So the same time I bought Biohazard Chronicles HD Selection, I also bought a Japanese exclusive 360 game. So the only thing that I can read off of here is Anata da Ke no. I wrote it down in Romaji. Yome. Ore no Yome, I believe, is what that translates to. Just the kanji there, which means my wife. And then the bottom in hiragana, I can read the Anata da Ke no, but I don't know what that kanji is. It is a visual novel dating sim, which is one of my favorite genres of Japanese media. I figured getting that on the 360 would be nice. I would like to purchase a Japanese 360 to actually get achievements for this, and I would like to see if I can get all of them in a game that is not going to be in English. I think that would be fun. Plus, it's a visual novel dating sim, so it's like perfect for me. But yeah, it's made by Idea Factory. They do a lot of the Neptunia games, so I'm sure you can imagine exactly the type of stuff you could get into in this one. I have a modded 360. If I want achievements and not get my account banned by Microsoft, I've got to get an actual Japanese 360 to play that. So maybe one of these days. We actually just did the achievement hunt tours for this. This is Cars Manor National. This was the last Pixar game I needed. If you've seen, again, the Classic Games Fest video, I was unable to find this there, so I ended up buying a copy off of GameStop. It was significantly less than what it was selling for on eBay. I believe I paid $9 something for this. The unfortunate thing that I soon found out was that the disc was unreadable. Took it to Founded Electronics in Watauga, and they gave it a buff in their machine, and it worked like a charm, obviously, because I was able to get all of the achievements in it. So that was cool. Manor National, I'm not going to say it's my favorite out of the Cars games I've played. I think Cars 2 is my favorite. It's better than Cars 3. I would probably go Cars 2, Cars Manor National, Cars 1, Cars 3. I have yet to finish Race-A-Rama, but so far, it's not great. Definitely, from what I've played so far, it's not the greatest. But, like I said, I haven't completed it yet, so we'll see on that. But yeah, Cars Manor National was an actually pretty good game. And next up, I've talked about this enough. You already know where I got it. It's Skate 3. I bought the disc from Mercari, and I just got on another Mercari post and bought just an empty case for it. So I now have a physical copy of Skate 3. As you can see, the disc doesn't match the case, but I'm not really too fussed about that. So now all I'm missing is Skate 2, but for whatever reason, it's probably because that's the best Skate game. That one is the most expensive Skate game. It's also my favorite in the Skate series, so I would like to own that. I just don't want to spend $20 on a used copy of it. Another game I got at Classic Games Fest, this is Disney Universe. When this came out, this is one of the games I got the 1000 gamer score for. It's also been featured in the pouring one out for Xbox 360 because I used the code that came with it to get that Cinderella costume. And what's cool about this is it still had the Disney Universe poster. It's an okay game. Like a platformer. You're not actually playing as any of the Disney characters. You're playing as, I really wouldn't call them people, but creatures wearing costumes that look like Disney characters, but it was okay. It was a fine game, enough for me to get all of the gamer score in, and for me to buy again because I liked it. Next up, this was the last Call of Juarez game I needed to complete that subset. I found it at Classic Games Fest, so I bought it there. At the Game Exchange booth that was there. I paid, if I can pull it out, $10 for it. I have yet to play any of the Call of Juarez games. I have all of them now, including Gunslinger, which was a digital-only game. But I hear that's probably the best one in the series. But again, they'll be in the wheel for next Variety Hour. Next up is Up, another game I already had the 1000 gamer score for, but again featured in the Classic Games Fest video. Nathan actually bought this for me at Half Price Books in Austin. I needed it to complete my Disney Pixar subset in my collection. It's also a pretty decent movie tie-in game. Fairly easy, full 1,000 gamer score. This is the last game for the Disney Pixar Games Challenge. This is Cars Race-A-Rama. I am currently playing this. By the time y'all see this video, I will hopefully be done with it. I don't know. The issue with this one, in me doing the challenge of getting all of the achievements, is that this is the one Disney Pixar game on the 360 that has a bugged achievement, and it's the achievement to get all achievements. I have a plan for that, and I'm going to try and be the first person on True Achievements to legitimately get all of the achievements for it. If that's unsuccessful, I will just have to do something else. When this video releases, the video following this one will be the Race-A-Rama video. So y'all will find out next week if I was able to get all of the achievements in it. If I was able to be the first person registered on True Achievements, I'm sure if it's possible, there is another person in the world that has them all legitimately. But at least on True Achievements, there are no one that has it legitimately. So if I could be the first person, that would be cool. But I'm going to make my best effort to do so. So far, the worst one in the series. For different reasons that y'all will find out next week. So if y'all want to see that, consider subscribing and checking back next week. I believe this is the last one for the Disney Pixar Games Challenge that I've bought. It is. It was Ratatouille. This one, yeah, so far, this is the worst in the Disney Pixar series of games. The movie is fine. It's definitely probably the most forgettable Pixar movie, at least that I've seen. I haven't seen any of their recent installments, but yeah, Ratatouille was a fairly bad game. If you want to see more about this game, go watch the Achievement Hunters video on it. Yeah, it's not good. Easy enough 1,000 gamer score. If you watch the video, you'll find out more. And another game I got at Classic Games Fest, Condemned Criminal Origins. I already had Condemned 2, so finding Condemned there for a pretty good deal. I think I paid $5 for this. What's strange is that this is the only Platinum Hits game that I've seen that doesn't have the name of the game on the spine. I saw another copy of Condemned there that it was the same thing in Platinum Hits. So I don't know what happened there when they were printing the artwork for them. I played a little bit of Condemned. I actually beat Condemned 2 though. It would be nice to go back and actually play this one. I wasn't very accustomed to horror games when I played this originally. So I imagine I was just scared too badly to continue playing it. But I like horror games now, so I would like to go back and actually finish that one. This next game is another game I got at Classic Games Fest. There's only one game left after this. This one is sealed. It's Zone of the Enders, the HD collection. Apparently it's like a mech battle game. It's kind of like Armored Core. High-speed robot action. It's made by Kojima. Yeah, it also includes a demo for Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. I just remember, I guess Konami was just using this for their HD collections when this came out, because when I would see this on the shelf before I couldn't ever find it again, I would confuse it with the Silent Hill HD collection. And I saw this at Game Exchange and was like, I like the cover of that. It's a very striking cover. I can't remember the reason why I didn't buy it then, because I think it was only like $10. I guess it just didn't hold enough interest in me at that time, but then I just stopped seeing it. I haven't played any of like mech battle games. I haven't played Armored Core, or I think the closest I've done to that is Senko no Ronde on the 360, and I hated that game because it combined mech and fighting game together. The way you were fighting, it just didn't seem... It wasn't fun, really. So I don't know if this one is any similar to that. The new Armored Core game, Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, actually looks really cool. So I would like to play that, but I only paid $25 for this sealed at the convention. It'll be in the variety hour wheel, so I'll break the seal on it then. I think it could be at least interesting. Like I said, it's made by Kojima, and the artwork on it looks pretty cool. So apparently, these, again, it's in HD, so I don't know when the original games came out. It's apparently been remastered. And lastly, the last game I got at Classic Games Fest, as well as the last game for these pickups, is Deadpool for the Xbox 360. So I played this when it was new, and it's a fine game. I thought it was okay. Was this before the Deadpool movie came out? 2013. I knew about Deadpool. I don't know why I knew about Deadpool. I used to be really into comic books, but I'm a DC guy. I like Batgirl, I like Catwoman. I had the whole New 52, Wonder Woman. I mostly favor the female heroines of DC. I liked Batman. I liked all of the Arkham games. Killing Joke is one of my favorite graphic novels. So I'm not really sure how I knew about Deadpool. I don't know if Nathan told me about him and he recommended I play this game when it came out. It was fine. It's funny. I like how he breaks the fourth wall. You've got Wolverine, Domino, Jean Grey, Cable. Not really sure who the purple lady is. The comic book nerds can grill me in the comics, but in the comments. But yeah, it was fine. It definitely isn't worth what it's currently at the time of filming this going for. I think it's like 40 something bucks. But the 15 that I paid for, $5 for the loose game disc and then 10 for the case, I think that's fine. The case is a little water damaged. It does have the little leaflet that came with late cycle 360 games. But yeah, I think it's a fine game. It's pretty easy full completion too, so it could be worth a revisit. Deadpool. I definitely prefer the movies over the game. But yeah, that was the pickups for that sheet. Like I said earlier, there's only one sheet left at the time of filming this of pickups. I'm sure I'll have more by the time the next one of these rolls around, so look forward to that. If you like gaming pickups like this, or you want to see me get achievements or go on game hunts or stuff like that, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Leave a comment down below for any of the games that I've got here that you've played, any that you recommend I play now. There's a bunch of them I haven't played at all, at least at the time of filming this. But other than that, leave a like and check back next time for whatever I do. Bye-bye!